welcome to DIY with Nancy. Today I'm going to be cooking and I'm going to be making some roasted chickens in the oven. Frango Assado no Forno. Now this recipe is a recipe my mom has taught me years ago, before I had my kids. And I make it here at home. It's a simple recipe. The marinade consists of beer. Like I said, it's just simple, it's delicious, quick to make. The chickens are so moist. So I hope you stay with me to watch how to make Frango Assado no Forno, roasted chicken in the oven, step by step.
Now let's get started. I have here 2 4-pound chickens, which I've rinsed through water, removed any excess feathers, and patted dry. So they're completely cleaned, and these chickens I bought in the packaging. I was looking for it when I purchased the chickens, no giblets. So I didn't want giblets as part of these chickens. So you can have the choice of buying it without it. Here I have the 2 wings, and let me show you what I did to the wings. I had them tucked in, and they're here. And I just like to tuck them in while they're roasting in the oven. So all I'm simply going to do is take the end of the wing and just overlap it, just like this. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And they're just tucked in and ready for roasting. Next, I'm going to start seasoning the chickens with salt. Of course, the chickens need flavor, and the salt helps it do that. So I'm going to season the chickens on both sides. I'm going to first start off with the first side of the chicken. So I'm using approximately 2 to 2.5 teaspoons of salt. So I'm going to flip them over and add salt to the other side of the chickens. And I'm also going to be placing salt on the inside of the chickens. It may seem like a lot of salt, but believe me, it needs seasoning and you want to taste your chicken. And so that's what I'm doing here. And just opening up the inside, and I'm going to add a little bit of salt on the inside. So I'm just adding some more where I've missed some salt and making sure I'm putting some in the inside as well. Now that I've seasoned the chickens with salt, I'm ready to prepare the marinade for the chicken. And I'm going to show you how my mother taught me how to do it. Next, I'm ready to prepare the marinade, and I'm going to be preparing everything in one bowl. I'm starting off with 2 tablespoons of paprika. In Portuguese, we call it plural. Next, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, ground black pepper that is. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of pimenta moída pepper sauce. This is a homemade pepper sauce, and you can eliminate the pepper sauce altogether if you don't want it a little spicy. And now I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon, which I squeezed into this bowl here. And I'm just going to drain it because I still have the seeds in there. So I'm going to make sure I have all of the lemon juice in the marinade. And now to that, I'm also going to add, and I'm going to add the vegetable oil first. Here I have 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Now you can add vegetable oil or butter. If I use one, I don't use the other. And next I'm adding the beer. I have here 1 beer, which is 330 milliliters. Now I love the smell of this marinade. It just brings me back to my childhood when I was coming home from church and my mother's making Frango Assado no Forno on a Sunday morning. Now you want to give that a quick stir, make sure it's all well combined. Okay, I have it all well combined. I'm just going to set it aside and prepare the onions before I add it to the chicken. Next I have here 2 large onions, and I've cut them in halves, and I'm just going to cut them in another half. So here's 1 large onion. I'm going to cut it in half again, just cut them into 4, and then I'm going to be adding it to the chicken to give it that nice flavor. So when the chicken is roasting in the oven, the onion will just add to the flavor. So now here I have my roasting pan. I'm going to add the chickens to the roasting pan. Place them both in there. Slippery. I'm just having the wings side up. That's how I roast my chickens. And now I'm just going to place the onions, just splatter them around the roasting pan, just as I'm doing here. And I'm actually going to add 1/2 of an onion or 1/4 of an onion into each of the chicken. Again, beautiful flavor. And so I'm going to place that right there. Just make sure they're all added in there. Now this recipe is really quick and easy. All I'm going to do is give a quick stir to the marinade and just place it right on top of the chicken, just as I'm doing here. The flavor you're going to get out of this chicken once it's cooked, so delicious. So I have the onion in there, and I'm just going to add a little bit of marinade in the chicken as well. Pour it all onto the chicken. And now it's ready to go into the oven. I'm going to roast the chickens in the oven. My oven is preheated at 425 degrees. So I'm going to roast them for half an hour at 425. And then after half an hour, what I like to do is reduce it to 400 degrees and let it cook slowly. So let's place these chickens in the oven to roast. Now the chickens have been roasting for about half an hour, and at this point I'm going to show you the next step. Next, I'm using a baster to suck up the juices of the chicken and place it right on top, and it just moistens the chicken every time. And I'm going to reduce the heat at this point from 425 to 400 and let the chickens roast in the oven for an additional hour. And here are the roasted chickens after an hour and a half of roasting them in the oven. I'm just letting them rest for about 15 minutes before I cut into them. But look at the beautiful brown, crispy skin. Oh, the chicken in itself is so juicy and moist and so delicious. Now, all there's left to do is to cut into the super juicy, moist chicken and get it ready to serve for dinner. Now, I'm going to just cut up the pieces. Everybody has their own way of cutting chicken, but I cut along the middle, and then what I do is cut the leg and breast and wing and place it on a platter. It could be served with a simple roasted potatoes, which is very common, but you could serve it with a pasta, some vegetables, or you can just serve it with a simple salad. Now I'm going to continue cutting the chicken and placing it on the platter, and then I'm just going to pour all the juices and marinade from the roasting pan right onto the chicken. Now here I have my 2 roasted chickens, Frango Assado in Forno, all cut up and ready to be served for dinner. Now look at that beautiful moist chicken with the crispy skin on top. It's one of my family's favorite roasted chicken recipes here at home, and I hope you give this recipe a try.
And that's how I make my simple recipe for Frango Assado no Forno, roasted chickens in the oven. I placed the oven at 425. I've roasted the chickens for half an hour. And then I used a baster to take the juices and place it right on top of the chicken. And then I reduced the oven to 400 degrees, close the oven and let it roast for an additional hour. Your chicken will be moist and delicious every time. So the other thing I wanted to let you know is just before you remove the chicken, you can use a thermometer. Just place it, I usually place it on the breast, and the temperature was 168. So if the thermometer is anywhere between 165 and 175, your chicken is ready. So that's just a few tips. I hope you enjoyed the recipe for Frango Assado no Forno, roasted chickens in the oven, roasted chickens in the oven. That's our dinner tonight. We're gonna have it with some sauteed vegetables, some roasted potatoes, and a nice simple salad. Hope you all enjoyed the recipe today, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Take care.